Hiya, welcome back to my Xbox Series S, and I've been doing a little bit of experimenting today about moving and copying files from my internal superfast SSD that comes with your Series S but is quite small to my external hard drive. Well, I've got an external SSD, a terabyte one, because we know that we've got some big games titles coming up pretty soon. So as I'm recording this video late August 2021, we've got Battlefield coming out in a couple of months, we've got Call of Duty coming out in a couple of months, and these games are going to be 100 gigabyte games, I would have thought. And as you can see, the Xbox Series S has only got a 364 gigabyte internal SSD, which is what you need to put these Series S and Series X enhanced games onto. They won't run off your external drive if you've got one. So that then gives you, an interesting problem. So as you can see on my internal SSD, all I've got is Black Ops Call of Duty Cold War, and that's just the multiplayer. Doesn't include the zombies or the campaign. Enlisted, which is a pretty small game, and Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is absolutely huge, and yet that has taken up almost 3/4 of the drive, which means I've only got 90 gigabytes free, which won't be big enough. I don't think that's going to be big enough for Battlefield 2042 or Call of Duty Vanguard, and it definitely won't be big enough for updates, because normally when you get updates you need more space. So how can we do with this? Well, you've probably seen my other video where I talk about copying stuff, but I wanted to test how long it takes to do stuff, because if you can quickly copy games from your internal storage to an external SSD you've bought or an external hard disk drive you've bought, and it can do it very quickly, then it doesn't really matter that much, does it? Because you can copy things around, and if it doesn't take very long, who cares? What I found though is that it can be inconsistent, the speed that this happens. But I do think there is a strategy for dealing with this. Obviously, the easiest strategy is just to spring £200 on the Seagate expansion card for the Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X. You plug it in the back of your console, and you instantly got a terabyte of superfast storage that is compatible with next gen games. But that £200, that's a lot of money. You could put that towards a PlayStation 5. You could put that towards a very nice monitor. Like a 1440p monitor or something like that, or a 1080p, 140 hertz monitor. £200 is an awful lot of money. So how can you manage this? So what I think you should probably do, probably the fastest way to deal with this sort of stuff, is when you want to free up space on your internal SSD, you want to copy stuff across. So you go to a game. Oh, you don't want to start it. Let's just stop that. You want to manage the game, and you want to manage installation on internal storage. And then what you want to do is you want to copy things across. So you want to copy things from your internal SSD to your external storage device, whether that be hopefully an SSD so it's nice and fast, or a hard drive. And that means that then what you do is you then delete it off the internal SSD to free up the space, so then you can then move something else in. And the idea behind doing that is that you'll always have a copy of the game ready to go. And it seems to be faster to copy stuff than moving things, especially with certain games. Now, your results may vary, but what I found, let's go back to my storage devices. When I was doing some experimenting, I found that when I tried to copy Microsoft Flight Simulator from the internal SSD to the external SSD, it took an awful long time. It took 73 minutes to do it, which is quite a long time. However, when I went to move it back from the external SSD, my external SSD, to the internal one, so it would run, it only took 10 minutes, and with about 5 minutes to install it. Now, Black Ops Cold War what I did with that was I copied it, and that took 19 minutes to copy from the internal SSD to the external SSD for storage. And then when I wanted to copy it back so I could play it, it was only 10 minutes. So that was that was pretty fast, wasn't it, as well? And then, the other question you may well have is, well, what about if something's in your external storage but doesn't run, like Black Ops Cold War, the next gen version, or Microsoft Flight Simulator? Does it update? Well, I did have Enlisted on my external SSD in storage, and what I found was when I checked the game files, it looked like it had been updated, and then when I copied it back to my internal SSD so it would run, it ran straight away. It did installing for a couple of minutes, and then it ran straight away. So I think that games that are in storage on your external SSD or external hard drive that you can't run, I think they do get updated. Yeah. So I think probably the best strategy is, if you don't want to buy the the terabyte Seagate expansion card for like 200 quid, which I don't really want to. I think the thing is to always have 2 copies of your Xbox Series SX enhanced games on your console. You have 1 copy on your external SSD or external hard drive in storage, just sitting there. And then whenever you want to play it on your internal SSD, you then copy it back to the the superfast internal SSD. That way, if you get a problem like I had with Microsoft Flight Simulator, where it took absolutely ages to move, you simply won't have that problem, because you're copying, and it always seems to copy very fast from external to internal, where it's the other way around that seems to cause some problems. Now, how practical is this? Well, it's quite practical if you've already got something like an external SSD. So I'm very lucky in the fact that I've already got a gigabyte external SSD. But they are quite expensive. You can pay like 80, £100 for an external SSD. So if you haven't got an external SSD already, and you're thinking about buying one, that's a different way of looking at the question, because that is half the price of the expansion card, isn't it? Which is £200. So if you haven't got any external storage available to use this strategy, to use this tactic, then maybe think about the expansion card, because it's very simple. You just plug it in and it's ready to go. My kind of thoughts about it kind of revolve around the fact that it is a big chunk on the way to a PlayStation 5. It's a big chunk or completely on the way to a nice monitor. And I'm kind of hoping that Xbox especially will allow some other third parties to make these things, so we can drive down the price. But it's the type of memory it is, and it's NVMe SSDs that are incredibly expensive anyway. And I think that lots of companies are struggling to make enough a decent enough price. But I'm kind of on this fence at the moment of £200 for the memory card storage or PS5. That's the thing, because as soon as the problem I have is, as soon as Battlefield and Call of Duty arrive, I've then got to commit to a platform, because I'm more than happy enough with my Xbox Series S playing the games I've got. Microsoft Flight Simulator, all the back compatible games like PUBG and Daisy, they play fantastic on the little console. Brilliant, love it. But when we get to the point where I've got to buy the new Call of Duty and I've got to buy the new Battlefield, you're talking like 140 quid for both of those games. That's a lot of money, and I'm not going to buy them twice. I'm not going to buy them for the Series S and a PlayStation 5. So if we get to the release date or a week before the release date for Call of Duty or Battlefield, whichever comes first, and the digital version of the PlayStation 5 isn't available, then I'll be committed to buying the versions on Xbox, and that'll be it then for me. I won't be buying PlayStation 5 for the foreseeable future, because that investment of a PlayStation 5 would be all about playing the new games on it. I'm not going to buy them again. And the sort of games I play, on my channel, they tend to be first-person shooters, don't they? So so that's the way I'll be looking at it. So there we go. So there's a strategy for dealing with the lack of storage space on the Xbox Series S. Keep copies of your Xbox Series S X enhanced games on your external storage, so that when you've got to delete them off your internal because you need more space for games, when you want to play them again, you can just copy them back again, and they'll be updated in the background. So there we go. What do you think? Put your questions and comments down below. If this video has been useful, hit like. If you want to see more, the same, press subscribe, and I will of course see you again soon.